Welcome to another Terrific Tips episode. I'm Terry, your host, and you can't spell terrific without Terry, so of course we had to call it Terrific Tips. Plus, I have amazing guests that come on this show all the time and share such great, valuable knowledge. And today, I have a special new friend with me. Devani, I forgot to ask you how to pronounce your last name.
Oh, that's all right. It's Devani Anjali.
Anjali. Okay. So today I have with us Devani Anjali, and I've recently gotten connected with her through a kind of like a support group of business owners. We meet virtually, and it's been really cool to get to know her and see the awesome work that she's doing in the world. So Devani is the CEO of Liberty Virtual Assistants. Now, I know we've talked to a virtual assistant before, but this one's kind of unique, okay? They're a company that helps business owners and brands source that affordable virtual assistant work that they might need from the Philippines. So she helps internationally make sure people stay employed and make money during this strange time. She has a background in freelance work, and Devani really understands the importance and the struggle of hiring reliable help and the growing pains of building a team. That's really why she started the virtual assistant job in company to begin with, because she was one. And so she was able to grow and expand from her own knowledge base. Some of her other fun interests that we got to talking about before we turn the recording on today include writing, dabbling in art, discovering new Spotify playlists. So if you have a Spotify playlist that you love, make sure you send it to her because she will enjoy listening to it all. And then growing succulents. And we had a whole succulent conversation before this.
Yeah, it was
But
wonderful.
it was. So please join me in welcoming Miss Devani to the show. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. And just one quick correction from the bio. I actually did not start Liberty VAs. My husband started the company, and I took it over.
Ah, that's right. You told me that before.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to clear it up.
I
CEO, not founder of this one.
of this one. So because of your background, you decided it was a good fit and for you to kind of step into those shoes.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to move on career-wise, and I was also looking for a transition from freelance to a more business role in helping other brands grow teams as opposed to being the team member of somebody else's brand. So it was just a really good transition. And I think going back sort of to the beginning, when you are a freelancer and you're sort of establishing what you do in the world. I'm sure you've experienced this, what service you provide. There's a real instinct to want to just do everything for everyone. I'm sure you've experienced that. I'm sure other business owners or freelancers who are tuning in are like, oh yeah, I know what you mean. And so I started in marketing, and I helped small business owners with marketing stuff, but it transitioned to like sort of like, what do you need help with? Oh, let me see if I can do that. So it kind of transitioned a little bit more of a virtual assistant style role. So in just growing that, I needed my own virtual assistants. And what does that even mean? Like, what is a virtual assistant? A lot of people don't know what it is, or it's such a vague term that they're not sure how, like, they're not sure where that fits in. Like, we know what an employee is, we know what a freelancer is, but what's a virtual assistant and where does it fit into a business? I
Yeah,
think that might be a really good place to start.
sure.
Um, and I think the simplest explanation is it's a person who can help you do a lot of general administrative busy work in the back end of your business. So those blog posts you spend time loading that you don't need to do. The back and forth email coordination that once you get to be pretty busy and need to work on growing your business and on the business, not in the business, don't need to do all this correspondence stuff every single time, customer support for brands, especially e-commerce brands. We're in a world where people want 24/7 support, but we can't always do that in our man hours. And so hiring affordable support, chat support, email support, phone support is important. So those are just a couple of the many things a virtual assistant can help with.
Yeah. Those are great tips too, because a lot of times we hear virtual assistant and we automatically think like executive assistant. But
Mhm.
if she's not here in my office or he's not here in my office, how are they actually going to help me with that?
Yeah.
And so being able to say, well, maybe they can't help you with the physical filing of the paperwork because that requires physically being there, but they can handle the digital filing of the paperwork, and they
Absolutely.
can handle the digital, tracking or measuring of this, that, or the other thing. And so being able to kind of help them place okay, so if I'm going to have a virtual assistant, what are the things that can be done virtually that they can
Yeah.
help with and take that off of our plate for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's so much that we do as business owners, and we actually have a large list of things on our homepage that a virtual assistant can help with. And outside of just like email chat support, live support, social media customer support, ticket handling, which is one aspect that we help business owners with. Another thing is just like basic accounting, so basic social media management. You have a lot of content, you need to distribute it to, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your Facebook page, the various groups you might be growing as a consultant or a freelancer, calendar management, just all these small tasks that it it might seem like it takes us 5 minutes here and there, but we're probably spending hours doing these little menial busy work style tasks that we don't have to do ourselves.
Yeah.
And a virtual assistant doesn't have to be in your office to do that. That can be costly, and that can be an expense. And in 2020, with COVID, with just health concerns in-person workspaces that are going on right now, you don't there are tools, and we have technology set up that people can do this through the internet.
Yes.
And that was like that before COVID, obviously, but I think it's just brought the conversation to like the forefront of what everyone's thinking about.
Well, and I think it's brought to the realization for some of these businesses, big or small, right? You might have an office of 50 employees,
Yeah.
but really only three of them actually need to be in the office. The
Yeah.
other, 47 of them could actually do their job remote. And how that works is, well, if you're already providing them a computer, instead of
Mhm.
providing them a desktop, provide them a laptop. If you're already providing them a phone line, instead of providing them a desk phone, provide them a cell phone.
Yeah.
Oh, look, now they can answer their work phone, they can answer their emails, they can manage their tasks from anywhere. They don't have to be at a physical location.
Mhm.
So, as a business owner, that helps you cut down on your expenses because now you're not having the overhead of the building and the
Yep.
insurance on the building and all of the things that go along with building maintenance, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now you can
It's,
have a
it's
small like
allowing
rental office.
Absolutely. It's allowing, I think it's allowing all sorts of businesses to start becoming more agile in the way that um, we as people work, just in general.
Yeah.
So now you can have a little bit of a more remote lifestyle without necessarily having to start a business. You could be working for a company that you absolutely love and doing it remotely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool option because not everybody wants to start something, but
Mhm.
they might want the lifestyle of I work from home.
So what's one of the first steps for a business owner? Okay, I know that I need help with some things, but how do I go about deciding what are those things and if a virtual assistant might be the thing for me?
That is an awesome question, and that's really one of the main things we help identify um, with anybody before we even start working with them. And one of our processes for doing that is actually just going through and creating a job description profile.
Hmm.
And what that does, and we'll get into some of the organizational things that people need to do, but like, what do I need help with? Of all the hats that I wear as a small business owner, or maybe you're working at an e-commerce company and you're like, I don't want the hat of customer service. Like, how do I even begin to hire somebody? And so what we help people do is and what I recommend anyone to do is start creating a task, a job role in your mind. Like, if you were to have somebody brought on the team tomorrow and they're starting tomorrow morning at the beginning of the workday, What is their job title? What are the tasks that you want them to do?
Mhm.
What should they be filling their time doing? What do you not like doing that you're currently doing that you think somebody could just start taking over?
That's a
Is
great
it
question.
responding to emails that, frankly, you could create a bit more canned responses for? You know, like obviously having the personal touch, but then it's like, all right, I've got this enormous inbox and I need help filtering it. I need somebody to come in and say, these are important emails that I need to respond to, and the rest of this is just kind of nonsense that I don't need to waste my time with. So filtering, email filtering, research. Maybe you're a company and you have to do like a lot of product research, but you don't want to spend your time doing that. You want somebody else to start researching and bringing that data organized to you. Like if you're a product brand, I mean, I know there's a lot of like e-commerce shops on Shopify popping up. Like maybe you need a virtual assistant to help you research all the other product variables that are out there and organize that data. So tracking and researching and putting that stuff together. So it's really about honing in on what are the tasks that you don't really love doing, and what are tasks that you can easily create a checklist or what we call standard operating procedures around, and somebody else could easily take over. And so we
So,
help.
so I need a Devani in my life to tell me what my tasks need to be, because it's organized chaos sometimes as a small
Yeah,
business owner. We wear a lot of hats.
absolutely.
We juggle. We sign up for newsletters because we want to support our friends who are in
Mhm,
business. 9 times out of 10, it's content that's not even relevant to us. It's
mhm.
crowding up the inbox. I just went through and unsubscribed from like 50 newsletters, and half of them I'm like, I don't even remember signing up for this. Like, I don't
Right,
even know
totally.
how I got here.
Like, I don't remember being friends with you at all, actually. I don't even know
I don't
you.
even know
Yeah.
you. Like, how'd I get on your email list?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you always have the ones that you can't unsubscribe from. And it's not that you don't want to support them, it's just that it's not relevant to you.
Right.
You
Yeah,
want to support them, but you've also got to respect your space, and your inbox is part of your space
absolutely.
for sure. That's
Digital space.
amazing. It's their digital space. Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things, especially for small business owners, is honing in on all the menial work you do. Like the work that doesn't actually, the 80% of work that doesn't provide the results you're looking for. You know, the Pareto principle of like the 20% of effort doing the 80% of the results. Well, I think there might be, I don't know scientifically if this is true, but there might be like 80% of the work that's dragging you 20% of the time. You know, like there's a lot of work that we do that we don't have to do and that we can offload to somebody else.
Absolutely. There's a process that I went through when I became knowledge business blueprint certified with Tony Robbins. And it was the automate, delegate, eliminate workbook
Yeah.
or worksheet, right?
Mhm.
And so basically you kept a record of what you were doing in 15-minute increments throughout the day, which for me was just completely like, I can't do it. Like, I can't even just spend 15, like every 15 minutes, stop. What am I doing? Because
Right.
then it like
Yeah.
throws me off of
A lot.
my mind track, right? Of
Yeah.
wherever I'm at. So, and sometimes I've gotten like 10 or 15 things done in a 15-minute period
Right. Yeah.
instead of just one thing. And then you're like, oh, what did I do in 15
Yeah,
minutes?
totally.
I did a lot in 15 minutes, right? So
Mhm.
it's easy to forget what you've done. So I had a hard time doing that, but that's exactly what you're talking about, because that 80-20 rule, and I actually find it's more like 90-10.
Yeah,
It's
that's
more like
very
90-10,
accurate. Yep,
you
that
know?
it's a moving scale sometimes.
Right. And so if we could focus on the 10% that was producing the 90% return for our companies,
Mhm.
what about the other 90% that's getting done? Is that 90% even necessary?
Yeah,
First of all.
absolutely.
And then if it is necessary, do you have to do it? Or
Yeah.
can a machine do it? That's where software as a service
Yeah.
comes into play, right?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
can a person do it? Can you delegate it to somebody else? Can you automate it? Can you delegate it? Or can you eliminate it altogether?
And those are
So,
fantastic points too, just especially when you were mentioning the like the 90% of work that you don't have to do and finding the right solution, I think a lot of, I don't know, can you hear the birds? There's a lot
Yes.
of birds in there. But there's also a lot of tasks that when you're going through creating a job description, you might find that there's a lot of tasks that you just don't need to be doing or that are just not necessary.
Yeah.
You know, you might go through and be like, wow, why do I do this? What results are these tasks doing? So it creates a lot, it forces a lot of organization. And I think that's the biggest thing before you hire. I think we all just, we're doing a lot and we want to hire somebody. It sounds exciting. Grow the team, hire somebody, but it creates so much headache if you hire before you're ready.
Yes.
If you're not organized, if your attention is on literally every fire that you need to put out or everything that you need to do in this business or just all the tasks you have to do on a daily basis in your business or just not in your business, just everything you have to do, and then you just go in with that mindset of I need to hire somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's daunting
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't set you up for success in hiring. I think a lot of people, you work in social media or you work in marketing,
Yeah.
and I worked in social media for a while, and there was a, and I think it's still a little there, this concept of, well, you work in social media, you must be able to solve like a majority of my business problems.
Right.
There's a lot of that when people think of a virtual assistant. Oh, I'm going to hire a virtual assistant. That will fix my business because they'll be doing all this stuff that I don't need to do. So I'll have all this free time. But if you're not organized yet, that just creates a huge mess. And
Mm.
then you're not only are you keeping up with everything you have to do, you're trying to keep up with everything somebody else has to do, which adds even more to your plate.
So
And
here's a
so,
question when
yeah.
it comes to the job description, because I think a lot of us as small business owners know that we need the help, but we need a lot of different kinds of help, right? Like
Mhm.
maybe we need somebody to do some data entry. Maybe we need somebody to create some social media graphics for us. Maybe we need somebody who can create blog content for us, right?
Mhm.
We know what we want it to be about, but we just want somebody else to do it so that we can edit it and it's off of our plate. It's not taking us the time to do it. But those are all like really different skill sets. It's really different buckets. So it's not one virtual assistant. It ends up being three, but we don't have enough work in any one area for three different people. So how do we create a job description that's going to be relevant to all the things that we need without it being completely overwhelming and unrealistic?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of it comes down to the much of the pre-organization work that you do as a small business owner before you hire, or just any business owner or any brand, because we don't just help small businesses, we help brands who also need customer support,
Mhm.
virtual assistants. The way we approach it is we
You
work
need
with
to work with Facebook because they do not have any customer support, and Lord knows they need it.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. That's very true. Absolutely. All these social media sites.
All of the
Um,
software as a service because
yeah.
they've set it up as software as a service, and they think it means that we don't need any customer support. They think it means I can send you to a forum with FAQs and the rest of the people who use the software will answer your question. Like it's created and I don't have to do anything else anymore. And that's just wrong. That's just wrong thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And people still like the human touch.
Yes.
You know, I think back to your original question of like you have all these different types of tasks. How do you offload it? When it comes to small business owners, I think what's really important is to start mapping out, and this is going to sound like more work, unfortunately. It's going to sound like more work, but I promise like the long-term results, like when I first started hiring virtual assistants on like Upwork and then freelance or elance or free up, or and then I used Liberty Virtual Assistant for a while for hiring my own virtual assistants when I was freelancing. Like that's how I even knew about the business, is because I used them to hire before I took over the company. And when I first started, I very much used the approach of I need these jobs done. I just need somebody to do it. And then it became a journey of discovering that I need to organize tasks. So I need to start creating tasks. And then when you hire a virtual assistant, they're coming on to do these basic tasks, and your job is more or less to make sure your business is organized enough for them to do it. Because they're not coming in to clean up your business. They're not coming in to solve all your problems, to wave a magic wand. That's not what it is. What it is I'm organized. I have standard operating procedures. Or if that sounds daunting, I have a basic checklist for how I approach filtering my emails that somebody else can now take over.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things on our website says that we have people hire an administrative assistant. What the heck is an administrative assistant? A virtual administrative assistant is somebody who can help with a lot of general back-end tasks that you were mentioning. They can do the research and development stuff and organize. They can do CRM data entry. They can do email management. They have the skill set already of a virtual assistant who wears these many hats. And so now they can spend their, part-time or full-time work shift doing all these busy work things that you do in a week.
Gotcha.
So for example, when we go through helping somebody hire someone, we have them spell out all the different tasks that they need help with. And sometimes we get on a consultation call and we're just upfront and we're like, hey, you basically want someone to take over your business. Let's narrow this down. Let's get a chunk of the most important tasks off your plate.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if you start there, everything else frees up a little more. So you don't have to hire all 3 people at once to do all these different tasks. You can hire somebody who has skills in a few of these different areas and just start getting that off your plate.
Yeah.
And freeing up your time. So I think it's a better approach to just start grouping tasks in similar sections. So I need a CRM manager who has some customer service skills. Well, that's a simple person to find, actually. A lot of people in the Philippines who have a huge background in customer support. Same with CRM data management. Mm-hmm. Keeping your contacts in order in your, whatever you're using, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, whatever system you're using. Like, there's a lot of talent in the Philippines that's affordable for small business owners. It's just hard to go through and filter them all. And that's what we help people do. We help you hone in on what you need. We help you break it down into something that we can go and say, hey, this is a job that somebody needs help with. You'll be joining their team. This is what you'll be doing on a week-to-week basis. And we help filter out the top candidates so that you don't have to spend the time doing that.
So then I guess the next logical question, because this all makes a lot of sense, right? Now I can start to segment out what needs to be done. And if I have a standard checklist, even of like how I like to have it done, then I can delegate it to somebody. Yeah. It's kind of like what I go through when I'm helping people organize their marketing strategy, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You want to know what it is that you even want to talk about. Once you know what you want to talk about and when you want to talk about it and how you're going to talk about it so it's relevant to your customer, then it's really easy to delegate the creation to other people because you know what you're having them create, right? And you know how to hold them accountable for that. So,
and sometimes it takes a little brainstorming between, sometimes it's like, well, I hear that you're saying this thing, but it sounds like what you need is this other thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I guess the next question that comes up, though, is since you are doing a lot of work with people in the Philippines, they might have amazing customer service, but how do we deal with the language barrier?
Yeah, that one's not too hard. A lot of Philippines, especially in the BPO industry, learn English, and they also learn English, and on top of that, they learn how to sort of morph their accent or sound more American as well, or just sound more fluent. So yeah, when we source, we have a lot of pre-screening requirements, including like an English test, a typing test, an internet speed test. We do live internet screenings, like just to check how great their internet is. So those aren't really that hard. A lot of them speak English already. They've already spent years doing customer support in the customer call center industry, which is heavily in the Philippines, China, India, Philippines. That's like the trifecta of customer support. And yeah, so the language barrier isn't at all the biggest issue, I would say. Nor is security really, with stuff like LastPass and different ways to send data securely. Like those aren't the biggest issues at all, I would say.
Okay.
And they're very easily solvable.
Yeah. Good. That's good to know because I know a lot of people who are thinking, virtual assistant, I think I would rather work with somebody who's local. You could work with somebody local, but it might cost you more because the United States has minimum wage laws, right? Like we're not going to
And I
pay
think,
somebody for less than
yeah,
minimum.
and I think it depends. It really depends on what you're looking for. Like if you're looking for somebody to help you with content writing, yeah, hire locally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We don't recommend hiring a Filipino content writer. Yes, they know English, but they don't know the nuance of our language that would make writing interesting and readable necessarily. So
And
like
you
we do
could
have
just hire Brian
parameters.
Morgan for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Hire a marketer, hire a copywriter, and obviously you're going to be spending more.
Yeah.
It's like there's specific things in your business where you need the quality.
Yeah.
But then there's other things that's busy work and you just need somebody who can do it, you
Right.
know.
And somebody who's happy to do it. Like that's what they want
Absolutely.
to be doing.
Oh yeah.
There's a big difference between having a warm body doing it or having a warm body that's excited to be doing it.
Right.
They might not
Exactly.
they might not even be that great at it, but they're willing to learn because they want to. They want to do it. And so I think that makes a big difference in terms of how effectively is it going to be done, how efficiently is it going to be done, how correctly is it going to be done if you have somebody who wants to be doing that work. Because that kind of work is hard. I mean, data entry, nobody really wants to do data entry. Like nobody really wants to do that. But at the end of the day, it is work that needs to be done. So how do we find the people who want to do that? And that's where the virtual assistants gets to come into play there for sure. You are muted. Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
I muted myself just because there's noise
Oh,
while
okay.
you're talking. Yeah. And you know what? A lot of Filipinos love the work. And especially now. What they love is being able to perform well. I think that's a big thing. But what I was saying is that I think an important thing culturally is that when you hire somebody from the Philippines, they do like to perform well. Like they want to produce good results. They want to be able to, yes, they're doing the stuff that's busy work that we don't necessarily look at and say, oh, this is exciting. Like CRM stuff is exciting, but they're definitely like, this is a job and I'm getting paid. So, and of course our job as Liberty VAs is to find the ones who are initiative taking, are organized, are the ones who are, ready to perform well.
Yeah.
So that's our job to help the clients with. But then once you're working with them, it's like they want to perform well. They want to do a good job, regardless of what the job is. And so, there is that kind of work ethic.
Sure. So from a CEO standpoint,
Mhm.
for the company that you're in, what's been one of the biggest challenges you've had to face? And what are some
Ooh.
tools or habits or techniques that you've had to develop to overcome that?
Changing my mindset from being a freelancer to being a CEO has been huge for me. What I focus on a day-to-day basis um, has been a huge growth point for me, because when you're a freelancer, you're taking it all on, you know. When you're running the company as a CEO and you have a team, you're now in charge of prioritizing your time so the business moves forward.
Mhm.
And that's been a huge learning point for me. Learning more productive ways to manage bookkeeping and finances, learning better ways to manage my own time so that I'm I'm the captain of the ship. And so that's been a huge learning point for me. There's days where I'm a little overwhelmed and it's a lot and it's a struggle to um, just stay on top of it all. It gets overwhelming, but for me personally, just learning how to properly manage my time has been a huge journey for me, and something that I do, and I actually implemented a few months ago, is just keeping a daily checklist, an open Word document of just daily tasks that I'm doing, and reviewing it and looking at it and be like, is this stuff important that I'm doing? I have two full-time team members. what are some of these things from the Philippines? Like, I'm working with Filipino outsourcers as well. And so what are the tasks that I'm doing as a business owner that I don't need to be doing right now? So it's like using all the things that I share with other business owners to help them become more effective, also doing it myself, and always refining that process. And like, where do we want the company to go? Well, that's my virtual assistants can't, do that. That's not their job. Their
Right.
job is to help me keep the ship going. And so, yeah, learning how to be a little bit more like macro vision has been a learning curve for me.
So where are you getting the education from, the tools and the techniques from to help you grow there? Because we don't just like decide that we know we need to do this and so magically we now know how to do this. So we have to learn from someone.
Um, I tend to learn really well from a lot of experience and a lot of just stumbling and figuring it out. I also Uh, I touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but my husband started this company, Ash. He transitioned to working more in the crypto and blockchain, Bitcoin space. Uh,
I'll need to have
but
him on the show too, because I haven't had anybody here talk about crypto stuff, but really would love to have somebody come on and like educate about crypto and what's happening in
cool,
there.
cool. I'll talk to him about it. Awesome. I'll connect y'all. But he started this company, and so I talked to him a lot. I'm like, okay, you founded this company out of your need as a business owner. He used to have a podcast called Liberty Entrepreneurs, um, and he needed a virtual assistant, and then he started this business because all his business owner friends needed virtual assistants, and so I gain a lot of wisdom and experience from his journey setting this up and being a CEO and just getting this company off the ground. And so I lean on him quite a bit because he has a lot of experience running this company. And I have experience as a virtual assistant. I have experience hiring virtual assistants, so I'm really good at that part, but I don't necessarily have experience in like being the CEO of a company, And so while yeah, I talk to him a lot, and I just go to him for a lot of advice, and I'm just like, hey, I'm really struggling this month with prioritizing my time. These are the things I'm spending my time on. And having that outside perspective as a business owner is so invaluable, whether you get it from your significant other, whether you get it from a friend or a mentor or a coach. A lot of people love hiring coaches for this, just to get this outside perspective of like, how can you see gaps in, am I missing something, am I not, am I, should I be focusing somewhere else right now?
Yeah.
And I think that's super important, finding somebody, whether it's a coach or just somebody who's been there, to just go to them and be like, hey, and being vulnerable enough to ask and share that you're struggling a little bit.
Those are such great tips, Devani, because a lot of times we forget that the support is there. All we have to do is ask. There are
Absolutely.
people there that want to see us win, that
Yeah,
want to see us succeed, that want to see us do all of the things that we want to do. We just
yeah,
have to ask. And
absolutely.
we stop ourselves from asking. There's this limiting belief system that exists in all of us, I think, as human beings, is that we fear being needy or we fear being less than if we ask for the
Yeah,
help. But at the end of the day, I don't think the people who are being asked feel that way or see that and they look at it like, awesome, this person's really trying to grow and be better and do better. Yes, I will support you in any way that I can, kind of
and
deal.
and if you can't find that community like around you or in person, there's so many groups and connections that can be made online that can help, even if like maybe you can't afford to hire a coach or a mentor, but there's, countless like Facebook groups. You go on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, or go to these groups, meet up, get into your local community and see if there's meetup. Obviously right now is not a great time for meetup stuff, but assuming our world gets back to a little more uh, normal socialization, reaching out and finding those connections and being proactive around it. I
And
think
I
that's a big
would
thing.
say there are meetup groups that are meeting virtually. So it's
Absolutely.
still worth
That's how
looking.
we met.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a group, I've got 2 meetup groups that I run, and we have virtual meetings twice a month. I host a networking group once a month, and I host a educational conversation once a month in both of those groups. And I invite them all to it. But it's virtual, but it's an opportunity to go meet new people and learn some new things. And there are lots of those that are out there too. So definitely tapping into the digital space to find that for sure. Yeah.
And just using the stuff as a tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just using the technology we have as a tool to help you out
Because
as much
that's
as
what
you
it's
can.
there for. I mean, isn't that what it's created for? It's supposed to be a tool.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot more people that you can find in the world that just genuinely want to help. That's why we as business owners started doing what we do, whatever it is, whether it's providing products that help people or services that help people or SaaS applications that help people. Like it all came from the desire to like provide value. So I think that a lot of us just want to see other people succeed, even if we're not BFFs yet or anything. It's like, oh, new person in the group. Of course, I want to help you out. Of course, I'd want to share my perspective.
Yeah,
And so that you might not have to stumble in the same way I did. So, yeah.
absolutely. That's what this whole podcast is about. We want to make it so that you don't have to stumble the same way that we did.
Yeah.
And that's why we share these tips and habits. Devani, this has been an awesome conversation. I know the people listening want to know how to get in touch with you. So what's going to be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so I think just going to the website libertyvas.com. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at Devani Anjali. I tweet about VA stuff, but I also tweet about music and movies. I'm a big pop culture fan. So it's all kind of mixed and mingled in there. And I'm very easy to get in touch with. So you can DM me on any of those platforms. Our email contact stuff is on the website. It's super, if you have questions, I am happy to brainstorm or just get on the phone with any business owner who's struggling and or thinks they need a virtual assistant and wants to know how to start. I'm more than happy to talk and brainstorm and figure that stuff out.
Fantastic. We so appreciate that. I always like to ask this question of my guests because I think it's just a fun way to wrap up the conversation. If there was one thing you wish you knew when you were getting started, what would that be?
Ooh, I wish I had been more proactive in learning finances and proper budgeting, business budgeting, and just all that those details entail in a business. I've been on a large learning curve in figuring that stuff out, and I wish I grew up not being a fan of math or numbers and thinking that it was all too hard. And recently I've embraced simplifying it and embraced the challenge of learning it. But I wish I had been more proactive around that earlier, I think.
Interesting. That's a good tip because really business does come down to numbers.
It
At the
does.
end of the day. And we do business with the people that we know, like, and trust, but the only reason that we do business is because we want to help more people. Well, more needs to have a number associated with it in order for it to be effective.
Absolutely.
And how
And
we
it's
help.
not the funnest answer. It's not the funnest answer, but I'm learning that sometimes you need to lean into the nitty gritty. You
Yeah.
know, you need to lean into some of that stuff to make everything else more enjoyable. And so just breaking those discomforts and just bringing it into my comfort circle a little bit more and allowing myself to be challenged in new ways.
Yes. Yes. It's interesting too. I had a friend come on. He was on the podcast actually several months back. He's a Facebook ad guy, Jeremy. He
Mm-hmm.
came into my group coaching program that I have, Propel, which opens again soon for enrollment. And
I love the concept of your marketing coaching group
yeah.
program, by the way. You shared it and I was like, that's brilliant. I wish I had thought of that when I was freelancing. That would simplified so much.
Thank you. Yeah, for me, it came down to I really want to help as many people as I can, as many small business owners as I can. And I no longer can do it one on one. It's
Yeah,
so much more effective if I can help a group of 10 people at a time
totally.
grow. And now we're having greater impact in shorter period of time. So that's
And
what.
what a community what a support community you're creating within that,
Oh
you know?
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the internal like linking that has happened and resources that they've been able to make. And I mean, money has been exchanged in each one of the groups, which is really, really
Mhm.
cool. Just
That's
to see
amazing.
those partnerships kind of come to fruition and know that it was because they've spent the last 8 weeks together. They have
Mhm.
this trust with each other that they can grow like that. Because
Yeah.
they might not have ever gotten a chance to know each other. I mean, some
That's
of
true.
them are in other parts of the world. They might not have ever even gotten a chance to know each other if it
Yeah.
wasn't for that group. So that's really cool. But
What an
um,
amazing thing you've provided for people.
yeah, well, and Jeremy, so he was on the conversation a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about when you're running Facebook ads, it comes
Mhm.
down to the numbers. You have to know what
Absolutely.
your margin is so that you can know what you can spend in your ad and to
Absolutely.
reach new people. And I was like, that's such a good point. And most people don't think about that.
Yeah.
They need to.
And yeah, when we start a business, it's the excitement of the idea. Because obviously not a lot of us, I mean, some of us might, but there's many of us who don't necessarily start because of the money. You know, like we might start side hustles for money, but an entire business, you rarely start that just because, hey, I want to make some money. There's way easier ways to go about that.
True.
Um,
True.
we start it because we want to wake up and we want to provide value in a way that is authentic to who we are and what we are interested in, and we want to serve people in different ways, like you're doing it with the program you run, the connections that's creating just beyond your business, the connections you're creating between other business owners to support each other. Obviously, I want to do that by helping business owners get organized and get help for their back end stuff, you know? And so a lot of that excitement around that can really just make you want to just ignore the number side, you know, like, and as a creative myself, I don't naturally lean into stuff like the numbers and the data and stuff like that. But learning to find the art in it, learning to find the creativity in the numbers, learning that if I have my numbers on lockdown, some of the ideas I think about can happen
Mm.
because I have the resources, the business is profitable and we can do these things. That mindset shift has really broadened my horizon as a CEO. And I think that's been one of the biggest things that's helped me this year is really embracing that and finding ways to make that stuff creative.
I love it. I love it. And that's such a beautiful tip and so important because it really does come down to the numbers. And if you're here for the money, there are a lot easier ways to make money. But we
Absolutely.
do often get in business because we want to help. We want to provide for in
Mhm.
some way or another more than just ourselves. And
Yeah.
that's why we start business. And so I think it's beautiful that you found a way to make the numbers fun because the numbers are necessary. They're necessary even when it comes to business, guys. Sorry, it
Mhm.
just is. And if
Absolutely.
you don't like the numbers, got to start to learn how to at least be copacetic with them. You don't have to
For
be best
sure.
friends with them, but you do have to learn how to coexist with them.
And hey, do it until you can hire somebody to help you out. It,
Yes,
you don't have to have a love-hate relationship with it forever.
right.
You know,
And
but
there are
good enough.
resources. I mean, there are resources available in most communities. We have small business centers. And I'll give you an example. I myself this year have hired an accountant. I never
Yeah,
thought that I would, but I did it through the small business center because the small business center is paying them. I don't have to pay them
absolutely.
out of my pocketbook. I
Mhm.
don't have to pay the small business center either. It's there as a resource for me. And I'm getting the support that I need from somebody that I can trust
Yeah,
to help me do this stuff. So that way I too can learn the financial side of things.
absolutely. Yeah,
My
totally.
mom was a banker, and every time she went on about money, I was like, wah, 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 wah. You know, the
Exactly. Yeah.
wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you know, I guess if my main advice to my younger self around numbers is just like find a way to find a way to see the creativity in it because it's there. I personally believe that everything has a level of creativity to it. Everything has a level of creativity somewhere in it. And if you're a creative person, which a lot of business owners are, it's why they came up with the solution to the problem that they were trying to solve. Then I think you can find a little bit of creativity, just enough so that your business can get going, you can be profitable, and then you can hire somebody to do it for you, you
Yeah,
know. And I think that's worth it in the big
totally.
scheme of things.
Totally worth it. Devani, this is awesome. I so appreciate your time, your tips for helping us figure out who we need to hire, when we might need to hire them, how we might go about that process. Most of all, getting in touch with you because you have it skilled in. You know exactly how to help a business owner get from where they are to where they want to be when it comes to hiring that assistant virtually, and really helping us to see the value in finding our creativity inside of our business. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Oh, I had a blast learning about you as well, and your program, your marketing program, and I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to come on your show and share with your audience.
Yeah,
So thank
likewise.
you.
Sure. Until next time, everybody.